Of course, we're all team about the hard work. That's why the sacrifice. That's why two guys, one night fight for the title. Because we're hard worker. We work more than everybody. That's why we're here today.
Absolutely, he's a tougher test than a grindy wrestler. Shavkat's phenomenal everywhere on the feet. He can grapple, he can wrestle, he can beat you on the feet with submissions, with strikes. He can beat you on the ground with submission and strikes. I just feel like it would have been a nice box to tick off, to go out there and show the world that I can shut down people's wrestling against that American style and then go forward and fight someone like himself. And I'm very excited to have this opportunity.
Islam Makhachev and Ian Machado Garry, face OFF/natural movement. Islam enters this matchup carrying years of experience at the highest level. He has already survived championship pressure, fought through difficult opponents, and built one of the most dominant runs in the UFC. Now, moving into welterweight, he is facing a completely different physical challenge. Garry, meanwhile, believes his own growth has prepared him for exactly this moment. He sees himself as the larger, longer, more mobile fighter, someone who can keep the fight at range and force Islam to chase him. And that difference in confidence became impossible to ignore as the two fighters shared the spotlight.
I'm gonna show, guys. I'm the best fighter in the world. That's why I have to show who I am this Saturday night. And I will show you, inshallah.
Garry has never sounded intimidated by the reputation standing across from him. In his mind, beating Islam isn't simply another victory. It's the opportunity to prove that his style can hold up against one of the best fighters in the world. But Islam sees the matchup from a completely different angle. He knows Garry's biggest advantages come from distance. The height, the reach, the movement, and the ability to strike from the outside can make it difficult for almost anyone to get close. The problem for Garry is that Islam doesn't need to win the fight at long range. His entire game is built around taking away options. He can pressure an opponent toward the fence, close the space, enter into the clinch, attack the legs, drag the fight to the ground, and once he's there, gradually make every escape more difficult than the one before it. That is what makes this matchup so fascinating. Garry wants space. Islam wants control. Garry wants to fight at the end of his punches and kicks, where his reach becomes a weapon. Islam wants to make the fight smaller, closer, tighter, and increasingly uncomfortable. And neither fighter seems interested in pretending otherwise.
Of course, he improved. He have more than 10 fights in the UFC right now. And the number one thing what he improved is experience. Now he have more experience in the UFC, in the hard fight. And I'm also grew up, take the belt. I have many hard fights. That's why I have more experience.
Folks, the tension in this arena is palpable. We are here with the top lightweight contender, Islam Makhachev. 10 straight wins have put you in position to challenge for the title. Your thoughts on what fight might play out here tomorrow?
Abu Dhabi, give some love. We gotta do this tomorrow night, inshallah.
For Garry, the biggest challenge may not be simply defending a takedown. It may be preventing Islam from ever getting close enough to attempt one. Because every step backward matters. If Garry can stay in the center, control the distance, and constantly reset, he can force Islam to work just to reach him. But if Islam begins cutting off the cage and taking away those exits, Garry's greatest advantage could slowly turn into a trap. That is why his footwork may be just as important as his striking. He cannot stand still. He cannot recklessly overcommit. And he cannot allow himself to get backed into the fence with Islam already within touching distance. Because once Islam gets his hands on him, the fight could change in seconds. Islam has spent his career making elite fighters deal with that exact problem. An opponent can feel comfortable for minutes, controlling the exchanges on the feet, and then suddenly find himself pressed against the cage, defending a takedown and carrying the weight of a fighter who knows exactly what position he wants next. But Garry isn't walking into this fight as a small lightweight trying to survive against a bigger man. He's naturally built for welterweight. His size and range give him a physical advantage that Islam hasn't always had to deal with in the same way. And Garry believes that advantage can force Islam to fight differently.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the challenger, the great Islam Makhachev. Islam, you had one of the most spectacular reigns as a lightweight champion of all time. Now you are moving up to welterweight. Give us your thoughts as a fighter and what tomorrow night means to you.
One day, to my dream, to biggest fight in my life. I'm ready. Thank you all. See you tomorrow, inshallah.
Good luck to you, sir. The challenger, ladies and gentlemen.
and no extra action required, that confidence is important, because Islam is now 34 and stepping into a division where the opponents are naturally bigger. Yet he insists he still feels capable of competing with the younger fighters around him every day in the gym. For Islam, preparation has remained familiar, hard training, trusted teammates, and a game plan built around closing the distance and taking control. He has studied Garry's fights. He knows what Garry wants to do. And he knows that Garry's movement will make the first connection one of the most important moments of the fight. If Islam gets that first takedown, suddenly the size difference means something very different. If Garry keeps his feet and forces Islam to fight at range, the entire equation changes. That's the battle hiding underneath all the confidence, all the predictions, and all the attention surrounding this matchup. Two fighters. Two completely different ideas of how the fight should be fought. And when they finally step inside the octagon, only one of those ideas will survive the opening exchanges. The longer you look at this matchup, the more it becomes clear that Garry's biggest weapon may also create his biggest problem. His range allows him to stay away from danger, but only as long as he has somewhere to go. Islam doesn't need to rush forward and throw everything at him. He can stay patient, pressure without overcommitting, and slowly reduce the amount of space available. And the closer Garry gets to the fence, the more dangerous the situation becomes.
Nothing he can do about it, and I'll talk to him, I'll dance in his face, I'll do whatever I want, because the truth is, when we get locked into that cage one day, he's never going to be able to deal with me. But the truth is, I have a target on my back. I have the ability to stand here and shoot shots at anyone I want, because this is my job, and they have the opportunity in return. So for me, when you attack people in my circle when they don't deserve it, that's out of line. And look,
at that point, Garry isn't only thinking about punches and kicks anymore. He's thinking about the takedown. He's thinking about the clinch. He's thinking about whether the next step backward will put him exactly where Islam wants him. That creates a completely different kind of pressure.
But the Ian Garry Islam fight, what exactly are you expecting from it? Ian's made a lot of headlines because he did a podcast and said, I guess, the opposite of what Josh Hokett said. He said women should run the world and stuff like that. But the fight itself, how much of a challenge do you think Ian is for Islam?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight, actually. If you look at what Ian Garry has been able to do, he frustrates people. His takedown defense has been excellent, and we'll see if he can stay on his feet with, obviously if he can stay off the ground, he poses a serious threat to Islam.
I cannot wait to step into the octagon against Islam Makhachev and beat him, because there will be no doubt that I have done it against the best. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And my next opponent is regarded by everyone in the world as the #1 ranked pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. After the fight, I just want it to be known that Ian Machado Garry is great. Make no excuse.
Garry cannot freely commit to his kicks if he is worried about Islam timing the entry. He cannot plant his feet for too long. And if he becomes overly focused on defending the wrestling, his striking could lose the freedom that makes it dangerous in the first place. That's the psychological battle underneath the physical one. Islam wants Garry thinking about the takedown before the takedown even happens. Because once an opponent starts worrying about what's coming next, their reactions become slower, their movement becomes predictable, and their options begin disappearing. But Garry has something Islam cannot simply take away with pressure: distance. If he can maintain that distance, touch Islam with long strikes, change angles, and immediately move away, he can force the former lightweight champion to repeatedly restart his attacks. That means Islam may have to work harder than usual just to establish his preferred positions. And that's where Garry's confidence comes from. He doesn't believe he needs to overpower Islam. He believes he needs to make Islam miss the first opportunity, then the second, and then the third. Because every failed entry creates more frustration and more space for Garry to impose his own game.
How damage you have on your career. It's all about this, I want to be honest. It's some of them 31 also, it's like if you have damage on his career, it's late, but I'm 34 and I feel good. Still compete with the young guys in the gym
But Islam's patience is exactly what makes that strategy so dangerous. He doesn't need to win every exchange. He only needs one moment where Garry's feet become too close to the fence. One moment where a kick leaves him slightly out of position. One moment where Garry's movement slows. And suddenly, the fight can shift from a striking contest into a grappling battle. That is the fundamental question heading into UFC 330. Can Ian Machado Garry keep Islam Makhachev at the end of his weapons for an entire fight? Or will Islam eventually close the distance, force him into the fence, and drag him into the world where he has spent years making elite opponents uncomfortable? Because this isn't simply a battle between a champion and a challenger. It's a battle between space and pressure. Between a fighter who wants the freedom to move and a fighter whose greatest weapon is taking that freedom away. And by the time the octagon door closes, neither man will have anywhere left to hide behind confidence, predictions, or words. There will only be one question left. Who gets to dictate where this fight takes place?